I remember when I first started working on this particular piece, I was a weird mix of confident and insecure. For whatever reason, I decided not really to use a reference. I think actually this is an older piece, and my older pieces I didn't use references as much as I do now. And that's actually kind of part of what I want to talk about. References in general, like if someone asks you, hey, that's cool, like you drew off the top of your head, and you say, I use a reference, they'll be like, oh. And not everybody, some people still appreciate, but in general, you can see almost a bit of a deflation, it's less impressive because it wasn't just off the top of your head. And that is kind of it's interesting because as an artist, I used to not want to use references, not really for any prideful reason, more so because I was lazy. I just didn't feel like looking things up and studying and just really trying that hard, When you draw, you're just trying to have fun. For the most part, yeah. When I was drawing, I was just trying to have fun. So with this, I really just wanted to have fun with it. I didn't want to really try too hard. But at the same time, though, I didn't want it to be distinctive. You'll see the image change now because it's actually 3 images I drew and put together. And what we're seeing now is, I think, one of the ones I scrapped or decided not to go with. I went with a lot of different designs on just general shapes, and this reference right here, this is a reference. What I'm drawing right here, I used my cousin, actually, an image that he sent me, and it's like half a portrait, and half just the top of my head. Portraits are like my exception to the rule. I like adding people's likeness, and so I'll look very closely to try and do that, even if it's a fantasy image. And you'll see that here, the mix of human and orc, which on Exodus they're called the Urul. I'm still trying to get the real pronunciation of that, that strong orc style, but it's like Urul. I even spelled the second U with special 2 little dots or something to really get that Yul sound. When we were naming them, we wanted it to be something really strong, for sure. Orc is orcs in Lord of the Rings especially, and in D&D, they're called pigs often because they have kind of pig-like snouts, and orc always sounded like oink to me, so it kind of stuck. But I don't know, orc is strong, but it's not, I don't know, I feel like Urul is stronger. It just has some more, you gotta say it with your chest to say it properly. So we went with that. And I'm gonna touch on a kind of a contentious topic right here, but there's talks, there's discussions, and even some evidence that orcs in at least in the Dungeons and Dragons sense were, at least at some point, based on maybe not black people per se, but they had this African tribe thing. There's actually a plot, a game, Escape from Fire Island. It's one of the campaigns that is just really bad. I guess it was cool for the time, but it did not age well. And as a result, I don't know, I kind of resonated with that in a sense that orcs always have a bad reputation. They're known to be violent, brutish, uncivilized, uncultured. And unfortunately, there's a lot of media that depicts African Americans in the same way. And So with that in mind, I decided to take that and, I don't know, try to fight it in a sense. Like, I didn't want the Exodus orcs to be based on any kind of race. I wanted them to be their own thing. I wanted them to really be like this monstrous, scary, savage looking race. And you'll see that with the third image I was going down there. I decided to like enhance and emphasize the muscles and the extra muscle structure beneath the jaw, because their tusks are a big thing for them. Uruls have a very, very powerful bite, and to go with that, they have an anatomy that can, like, they can pretty much eat almost anything, like, and not suffer any consequences, to the point where there are Urul who can swallow swords or even bombs, and their digestive tract is so powerful, so like indestructible that like it doesn't harm them. Funny thing about that is that I wasn't sure how that was gonna work anatomically, because somehow in my head that translated to, wait, does that mean that their whole bodies are indestructible? But it took me some time to really just like know that the throat, the esophagus, the stomach, like, you know, that whole system is its own thing. And even if that's indestructible, if you stab an Urul in the chest, you can still pierce their heart. But there's a lot about their biology I could talk about, but that's not what this video is for. This video is more about the art, and I totally got sidetracked. So back to the art. You'll see I actually used 3 different styles here. The first one has a lot of heavy inking in it, because that's the comic book style I was used to. The second one is a portrait that I colored over because I started teaching myself portraiture. Again, thanks to my cousin. Shout outs to you for starting me on that. And the final one is kind of a mix in the two, with just more focus on heavy, almost painter-like shading to give it an almost realistic kind of feel. And looking back on it now, I'm honestly a lot more proud of myself than I was when I was drawing it. Sometimes when you draw, you can only see the flaws in your work. You're so focused on trying to make it perfect that you can't appreciate the things you've done right. You only can see the things you've done wrong. Side note, I was really not sure about having this Urul have be holding a human head and have heads on their bodies, because I was like, man, that's really gritty. But I was like, wait, that's their thing. Like, that's their thing, that they're so ostentatious. Like, that's what they're about. And damn it, I'm getting back into the culture. I'm gonna do another video about that, I promise. But yeah, man, I guess I'm gonna just end off on saying, like, it's really easy to judge yourself when you're working hard towards something. And sometimes it really does help to look back and just, instead of focusing on the flaws, look at the things you really did right. Make a conscious effort for that and appreciate that, because that stuff matters. And honestly, that's what this picture told me. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a good night, or good morning, or just a general good day.